Hi everyone. I am so excited that you guys have tuned in today to Thrive Talk. I am Nicole Baldwin, your host, and Thrive Talk is a division of I Thrive Network, a global well-being community that connects women who serve. Today, I am really excited to be chilling with you guys because we are going to be talking about the benefits of crying. So many people talk about, the power of positive thinking. We did a laughing exercise a couple of videos ago, but I don't think enough people talk about the importance and the benefits of crying. I want to ask you a question. When's the last time you cried? I mean, really, really, really cried. I'm a crier. I don't care. I will cry. It's not that I'm sensitive or depressed, because sometimes, depending on the symptoms of crying, it can be a symptom of depression. But I'm a firm believer of crying to get it out, to find my peace, and just really just to release myself of everything that's happening to me or going not so well for me. I can find myself just taking the time out to cry. I want to ask you guys all a question. Who would you say is the happiest person on earth? Like, who's the happiest person, I guess, in the world? Who do you think it is? All right, we done thinking? I'm going to tell you who the happiest person on earth is. The happiest person on earth is babies and children. You know why? Because they exercise the benefits of crying. They exercise the benefits of crying without even knowing, because babies and children, they're just so innocent. And when I was reading this study on how, how children are just so happy and just to have like a childlike spirit, I thought back to myself when I was a little girl. And I remember it was times, I was a little mischievous little kid, and if I got in trouble or something, and my mom or someone was angry at me, I remember I would go to my room and I would just cry, and I would cry. And I was one of those people, I don't know about you guys, but I was one of those criers where I'd be like, and I couldn't stop until I did that. But I remember that as I was crying and I was going into those moments, the more I did that, the more I was releasing myself, and I was releasing myself. And sooner or later, I would do enough of that and I would be back calm again. And either two things would happen. I would either fall asleep, sound asleep, have the best sleep I ever had, or I would just go back about my business. But in the midst of all of that, in that scenario, after I had cried, after I had released myself, after the pain and the hurt was gone and I allowed myself to get rid of it, I felt so peaceful. I felt so happy. And I had so much joy. Just think about when you were a kid and you cried. Think about how long it took you to cry, and then benefits of crying. How did you feel afterwards? I'm sure, like me, you can find that many times when you cried as a kid, you found yourself feeling more happy after you finished crying. And so, another research shows that humans are the only animal that cries with tears. I think that's really unique. And women, when you get to talking about women and crying, women cry at least 3.5 times a day in the United States. I don't know how they cry over the world, but in the United States, we're just criers, and so crying is linked to so many different emotions. It's linked to grief, it's linked to frustration, it's linked to anger, to sadness, to happiness. Like, crying is just linked to a full range of emotions. I remember when I was in middle school, I had this friend, and she would always say if she got angry at somebody, when I get angry, when you see the tears, it's on. It was on, back then. And so, when you think about the mechanism of crying and how it's linked to so many different emotions within the human body and the human experience, it's one of the best soothing and the best well-being treatments, I would like to say, that we have, but we don't exercise it enough. And so I want to talk about crying. I also want to talk about the different stages or the different types of crying that we have. We have the basal crying. And that's the crying that releases a lot of antimicrobial properties. It's the crying that helps keep the eye moist, and it helps you to blink more. And then you also have the reflex, and the reflex crying, that's the type of tears that we produce to help us, get rid of irritants, in the eyes. It helps also to protect the eyes. And then, of course, we have the emotional set of tears. And when we're going through our emotional set of tears, that's all triggered by our hormones and, other stressors of the body. But it's the most stressful, it contains the most stressful process of the tear forming, process of the human body. So now that we've talked a little bit about crying and how the body, produces tears and just the benefits of it, I want to go over about 8 benefits of crying. So number 1 is crying. It has a soothing effect. It's like a baby. It just really calms you down. It helps you relax and just calms your nerves. It also produces, number 2 is that it also produces social support. And so, I don't know about you guys, but if I see someone that I love crying, if I see a family member or a friend crying, or, just anyone just crying, it really just connects to me emotionally, and I can find myself crying. Or if I hear someone telling me a sad story or something bad happens to someone, I can find myself crying. So crying also helps you obtain a lot of social support. Crying, number 3, it also helps to relieve pain. We talked a lot about endorphins in the brain, the feel-good chemicals. So it releases all those feel-good chemicals. So, there's a scripture that I really like in the Bible that I read that says, you may cry, tears come at night, but joy comes in the morning. So it helps you to release everything you need to release so that you can feel good afterwards. Number 4, it also enhances your mood. It uplifts your spirit. It goes back to myself as that little girl, and I used to find myself just crying and crying and crying, and then after it was over, it was like, it is what it is. You know what I mean? My mood was better. I was ready to go back outside and play or take me a good nap, but I wasn't walking around. I didn't wake back up, or I didn't go outside thinking about that I had just cried. I was over it. Number 5 is it releases toxins and relieves stress in the body. So it has a lot of antimicrobial properties of crying. So you're really releasing a lot of stuff, release. And sometimes when you're walking around and you're suppressing your emotions and you're trying to be tough and you're trying to be strong, you really accumulate so much buildup. And there's a lot of science behind people who have cancer and so many different ailments and diseases because they are suppressing a lot of emotions and anger and, unforgiveness and hostility and so many different things that really break and weaken their immune system. Number 6 is that it aids in sleep. Going back to when we were that little kids and, you cried yourself to sleep, and it's another song that I remember saying that I cried myself to sleep. I've been through things in my own life where it was just so painful that all I could do was just cry myself to sleep, to feel good later. It also, number 7 is it helps to fight bacteria in the body. It goes back to the, as we discussed with the basal crying, releasing those antimicrobial properties in the blood and the bloodstream in the body to help you feel more healthy and to help, fight things like bioterror agents like anthrax, believe it or not. So crying is very, very, very beneficial for helping with your immune system and also fighting, bioterror agents like anthrax. Isn't that something? And then lastly, crying helps to improve the vision. As you cry, you're moistening your tear ducts in your eyes, and it's really helping to cleanse the soul. That's what I like to say. So crying has so many amazing benefits. And so I want to leave you with this is, back to the question, when is the last time that you cried? That you really cried? And don't look at crying as a sign of weakness. Don't look at crying, as something you don't have time to do. Find time to cry. Because the more that you cry, the more that you're able to release everything that's breaking you down, that's hurting you, that's holding you down, that's making you feel sad, that's making you feel depressed. Cry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to cry, to release yourself. And you will find the more that you cry and allow yourself to release yourself, the things that are hurting you or that are not making you feel well, the better you'll feel. It will help improve your well-being. Now, if you find yourself just crying uncontrollably, for no reason at all, sporadically or things like that, you may want to go and see a mental health provider or talk to a counselor, someone that you trust, that is close to you. But also recognize that sometimes crying is the best therapy for letting things go. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this talk today, and I hope that you practice crying. I'm Nicole Baldwin, and this is Thrive Talk. And always remember that surviving is important, but thriving is elegant. Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And our new website, www.ithrivernetwork.org, will be launching soon. I love you so much. And remember, it's okay to cry.